All right, so there's Carabao Cup as well coming your way on Wednesday. Liverpool taking on Crystal Palace, but also Arsenal. They're flying high in the Premier League. We'll see exactly if they can take on what could be a test from Brighton. We do know that Brighton definitely can put up a good fight.
And well, they got beat off Man United at the weekend.
Oh, but the mighty Man United, right?
Yeah.
Newcastle Spurs as well. Swansea up against Man City, and Wolves Chelsea rounds out the fixtures. But I want to stick a pin in the Liverpool Crystal Palace fixture, Stevie, because what are you expecting from this game? We know that Crystal Palace have actually gotten the better of Liverpool in their last two games, of course, in the Community Shield. We know that the Carabao Cup for Liverpool has always been one where they rotate. But considering the fact that Liverpool haven't been or have been in a bit of a slump now, does that change it? Does the Carabao Cup have extra importance now?
Well, I guess Arne Slot's the only man that can tell you how important it is, but at the end of the day, I would suggest that winning the next Premier League game is way more important than the Carabao Cup. And there's no question in my mind that Liverpool will put out a so-called, if you can call it that right now, weakened side, and Crystal Palace won't.
No.
And as you've just said, Crystal Palace have outplayed Liverpool twice already this year. So there's absolutely no reason to think it won't happen again. I would love somebody to explain or tell me how this is going to be any different than what Liverpool have been doing, other than the line of, well, eventually it has to change. Well, maybe eventually it does have to change, but nobody knows when that's coming, and there's absolutely zero to suggest that it's going to come in this game. So I have no confidence in Liverpool right now. On the other hand, I've got every confidence in Crystal Palace. Anybody who watches them, regardless of whether they win or lose, they're always in the fight, they're competitive, they're organised, they're dangerous on the counter. And if there's one of the... If you were to pick out Liverpool's biggest weakness, I would say it's getting countered on. They look at an absolute shambles defensively. And there's no question, Liverpool's at home. That means regardless of who they play, they're going forward, which absolutely plays into Crystal Palace's hands. So I'm sorry, right now, I don't see how Liverpool can beat a Crystal Palace side that I think will be a strong team.
Craig, do you agree? Do you think Liverpool should put out a weekend team?
I think they will. Well, your question about the Carabao Cup, I think with Liverpool's form, it has gained less importance for them because they need to put a team out that's fresh and ready to go for Saturday, where they play, or at the weekend, they play Aston Villa, who have got up ahead of steam. I think Stevie said before we came on, they've won 5 in the bounce. Beat City at the weekend, beat Tottenham away. We'll sit in, we'll try and suck Liverpool in, and we'll hit in the counter-attack, which Liverpool have just struggled like hell with this season when they've been caught on the counter-attack. So if he makes 5 or 6 changes at least, Arne Slot that is that strengthening or weakening this already struggling Liverpool team? It's weakening. And if Oliver Glasner comes with pretty much a full team, because they're not going to be anywhere near relegation this year, they're way too strong. Even if they have a bad season, it'll be mid-table. Then they've already got a Community Shield and an FA Cup in the last few months, and they might look at the Carabao Cup, Crystal Palace, and say, do you know what? The Liverpools of this world, the City of this world, the Chelseas and the Arsenal, they'll all rotate for this competition. So why don't we, as somebody that's tasted Wembley, tasted Cup success, 2 of them, from the end of May to the beginning of August, why don't we just go hell for leather for this competition? I think Palace might have that mentality to try and add the Carabao Cup to the other 2 I mentioned, because they know the teams going for the title will rotate. So there may be an opportunity there. OK, it's not easy. You've got to go to Anfield. You just don't know what you're going to get from Liverpool. But I think that's what Palace's mindset will be. They've got the taste of Wembley and the success. And for Liverpool, I think it's just making sure he can put his perceived best 11 on the field against Villa at the weekend. So for that reason, I think you'll probably see a lot of changes in this Liverpool team for this game tomorrow.
Frank, what do you think Liverpool should do? As Craig and the boys are saying here, that they should prioritise their next Premier League game and make a lot more changes for this one?
Yes, I think he should. They should, because on top of it, Arne Slot can find maybe with maybe 5 or 6 new players, somebody better than the one who normally plays, and say, okay, well, you know what? I've got better players on the bench than I have on the field, so maybe I will change, during the weekend. And big competition and maybe relaunch a little bit the motivation that the player don't have right now. So it could be a good idea, and I think he will do that, because I really think that they need some freshness as well from some players. And again, to see how the others are behaving. And I just want to put one point on Crystal Palace. That's going to be tricky for every player. They scare everybody, every team. We saw Arsenal struggling at the end of the game, the last 10 minutes, being a little bit shaky because Crystal Palace were pushing forwards to get it back. And so it's going to be tricky for Liverpool. There is no good answer right now. Having the normal team, the so-called first team, is not a perfect idea, and it is not a perfect answer. So I think it's better for Arne Slot to give some rest to some players, give some chances to some others, and see what's going on.
I said to Stevie when the international break was on, if they come back, Liverpool that is, and lose at home to Man United on the run they were on, that's just going to be huge for them. It's going to be a huge, and they did.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they have the game at Brentford, which they lose and don't play well, and there's mistakes all over the place. So you throw Villa into that? I mean, it's not quite the Man City falling off the cliff of last year. I think theirs was 8 games or thereabouts, but it's getting towards it.
It's not far off.
Having spent a huge amount in the summer.
I mean, if anything, they're actually...
I mean, look at it. Look at the run.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
You might be looking forward to the City game as your best chance.
If anything, Man City weren't as bad. I mean, Man City at least was scoring goals for fun when they had that horrendous run. But unfortunately, they were losing more goals than they were scoring. But at least they were scoring goals. Right now, we're kind of scratching our head. Who's going to score a goal? I mean, that's so...
The way they're playing, they could conceivably lose those 4.
Yeah.
The way they're playing, they could conceivably lose those 4 games. I mean, it probably won't happen, but there's nothing that would fill you full of confidence to say, no, not a problem. Then we're in the realms of the manager batting more questions away at press conferences.
So, I'm going to be interested to see what the atmosphere is like as well, if it doesn't start great. Yeah. Because right now, everybody connected with Liverpool in terms of who supports them is absolutely, as I said the other day, shell-shocked. Nobody knows what to say because we can't believe what we're seeing, because we thought we were going to see the next coming of whatever, and all of a sudden somebody's pulled the trap door. And so if Liverpool don't start this game well, the atmosphere, it's not going to be toxic, it's going to be quiet.
Well, interestingly enough, I asked everyone for predictions for this one. We all gave our predictions, and just have a look at what everyone had to say. Not one person chose Liverpool, not even Stevie Nicol. Stevie, surely, as Craig was saying, if Liverpool go on this run, not win tomorrow, something's got to give. How much pressure will be on Arne Slot?
No, none.
Still?
No, I don't mean no pressure. Listen, I will absolutely tell you that this time next year, Arne Slot will be the manager of Liverpool.
Confidently?
Yes. Yes. But in terms of right now, I've forgotten your question.
How much pressure?
No, in terms of right now, I started off by saying, can somebody tell me why Liverpool can win this game? And I'm not in any other position than I was when I started with that. So I am sorry, I'm completely bamboozled by what Liverpool are giving us on the field. I'm a little bamboozled with some of the decisions, although I've kind of stuck it up for Arne Slot. The fact that...
You were saying he was saying all the right things at the start of the season.
They've been so bad that he's been forced into making 5 changes every game, which I don't necessarily in the long run helps. But then he's been forced into it because of the form of the players that are actually playing. So, yeah, I don't know what to I'm lost. I don't know what to tell you. I'm lost.
Wow.
I've no idea.
So is he, by the looks of it.
Aye.
I mean, I said it a couple of weeks ago that
I've never seen Stevie this rattled and lost.
There are players who had some injuries and they've lost a bit of form. But that, listen, every club has that. Every team, every manager is dealing with a crisis in confidence or an injury or whatever it is. And I'll go back to it. For the bulk of last year, he didn't have these issues to manage, and he is a manager, so he didn't have to manage them because he pretty much knew the Liverpool team, 1 to 11, maybe give or take, but pretty much. Now, I think a lot of people are looking at him, and it is very early, but a lot of people are looking and saying, does he know in his head what the right decisions are? And I'm not sure he does.
I think the one thing that he has to do, and I don't think it's got anything to do with tactics or anything like that, is man management. Because he has to figure out how he gets these players going and gets them playing. And to me, I don't think it's got anything to do with tactics or anything like that. It's about man management and getting around the players and doing what they need, figuring out what they need in order to be at their best. That's his job right now. I don't think tactics is the problem.
Guys.
Go on, Frank.
Go on, Frank.
Yeah, don't you feel that we already have seen that story about a team winning the Premier League and being out of order the year after and not knowing how to resolve the problem? And that wasn't far away. That was Manchester City last season. That's absolutely crazy. When you have a team dominating the rest that can be a warning for Arsenal already. But how to rebound the year after? Manchester City was out of order last season. It's getting a little bit better. Liverpool is only the shadow of themselves this season. It can say something about the Premier League and the inconsistency we are seeing for the past 2 years. And something has to happen to make sure that the big teams, because they are big teams in history and in the current form, let's say, they have to evolve. Something wrong is going on right now with team dominating so much the Premier League and having a bad season the year after.
Yeah, but in all fairness, Frank, Man City did
show signs.
No, they did do multiple
back to back.
I mean, they
fall in the trot.
They did fall in the trot. They'd seen
Eventually,
that. They'd seen that movie. I mean, I think
trebles.
You know, this is different. I mean, Frank was at Wembley for the Community Shield. I was there. You and Stevie were in the studio. Before the game, Liverpool, it was going to be Liverpool and somebody else. And then we watched the game, and we all said pretty much the same thing. The dynamic between Kerkez, who's struggled, there's no doubt, and Van Dijk, who hasn't really helped him a great deal as a senior player, that was evident at London that day. But it was a week before the start of the season, so that's okay. The balance in midfield with Florian Wirtz, we kind of looked at that and went, right, how's that going to work? Now, where are we? August, mid-August, September, October, 2.5 months, right? And that's 2.5 months on the training field to figure that out. Whether it's Van Dijk and Kerkez figuring it out, whether it's the back four, whether it's the manager, whether it's all the coaching staff, they've had 2.5 months to figure out the issues that we all saw at Wembley a week before the season started, and they haven't. So whatever they're doing on the training ground, because they must be doing something. They're not just going, hey, see you next week, lads. They've got to be working on it. So we saw it against Palace, and they've not been able to do anything about it.
That comes down to the players, though. You know, I mean, there are only so many things you can do on the training field, right? And you'd have to think that Arne Slot will be doing a lot of the same things that he did last year. And so a lot of it has to come down with the players individually. I mean, we're talking about, we're criticising Pep for overcoaching. You know what I mean? I mean, there's got to be a balance. And so, yes, you can show players what you want. You can show them what he's going to do so you can react. Where should you be when he's over here? When the ball's here, you should be there. But at the end of the day, players step on the field and they've got to do it. And so I just don't see how right now we can look at Arne Slot and blame Arne Slot. I mean, we all sit here, I've certainly said it 1,000 times.
Yeah, but
the best time to strengthen is when you're on top, right?
Right, but if we sit
here... And look what's happened.
Their opponents tomorrow, Crystal Palace, if we sit here and laud Oliver Glasner for the work he's done, what's the difference the other way? He's been able to work with less and have that organisation, and at the moment, the Liverpool manager is struggling. I mean, Palace would have taken Kerkez in a heartbeat. He's struggling. I mean, it's different. It's different going to Palace than it is going to Anfield. I understand all that, and it's
a balance, isn't it?
And it's a bit worrying when your inside partner is Virgil van Dijk and everything he's done, and you're a young lad, and I get all that. But if we're lauding managers for getting more out of less, at some point, if this continues, it's going to come round on the manager.
Well, Frank, we're going to give you the last word on this
but
one.
Craig, It's just. I try to go into Arne Slot defense in a way that when is the time you have to work on the chemistry that you can find with players and new players if it's not during the summer. So we know that they travel a lot, they do something. Liverpool didn't have to do the World Cup, I think, the Club World Cup. Crystal Palace neither, so they had the time to work. But when you are past that time, it's really hard, especially when Liverpool, that you play every 3 days, because if you don't have the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup midweek, you will have the Champions League. Then if you don't have the Champions League, you will have international duties, and most players would be involved. So it's almost impossible when you are saying that at training session they have to work. When do you work? You play on Saturday, Sunday it's off, Monday you start training a little bit, Tuesday you put some set pieces, Wednesday you play. Thursday it's off or it's a warm down, and then Friday you start preparing set pieces for the next game. That's almost impossible for the team unless they work during the summer to put something down where it's going to cause automatisms. So it's really hard for Liverpool right now to cope with the situation and to try to reverse what's going wrong.
No. Before we move on, let me just say, we cannot. So what we're saying is, we've all sat here and been critical, although things have picked up, of Ruben Amorim, right? So to Frank's point, are we saying we should not have criticised Ruben Amorim because he didn't have time to work? If Liverpool's got no time to work on the training ground or anybody else, then Man United have got no time. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Because you've got to have some accountability, and we've all piled on when it was bad, Ruben Amorim.
But there's a time frame, isn't there? There's a time frame. I don't think the time is right to turn around and say, right, Arne Slot has to change it. Because that's what we said about Ruben Amorim. We didn't say Ruben Amorim wasn't working with players, and we didn't say he wasn't doing this.
Well, he has to change something.
And we kind of, but eventually, when you keep banging the same drum and it doesn't work, then you have to change it. But we're not. I don't believe we're there yet with Arne Slot. That's why I'm saying that the players have to take a good chunk of the responsibility. Because I don't believe.
But he has changed
Slot.
it.
I don't believe Slot has had enough time yet to get to the stage where we're going, right, you need to change the system.
No, I'm not talking about changing the system, but I'm
Tactics,
talking.
whatever you want.
He's not figured out whether to play a number 10 inverts or play 3 midfielders. He's not figured out who he wants to play at right back. He is hedging his bets with his other full back. But then
my argument for that is, I think the reason for that is because of the players.
So what's the difference between that and Man United?
Well, but I'm telling you, it's time. It's a time thing for me. You have to, when you try to put your ideas over, and particularly when you have so many new players, you have a certain amount of time to do that. And then there comes a point where you have to go, right, you know what? This isn't working. Either I change them or I change how we play. I don't believe Arne Slot's reached that stage yet.
But he's been in the job longer, has he not, than Ruben Amorim?
Yeah,
and Ruben Amorim, yes. To be fair, he also has a bunch of new players this summer.
Yeah, but they couldn't get any worse. My point.
All right, well,
it's not the same. It's not the same heritage.
Why is it not the same thing? Why is it okay to not look at the Liverpool manager when we have absolutely ground the United manager to the ground?
Wow.
When we're talking about 9 games.
Craig's sticking up for United. Lovely.
We're talking about 9 games.
I'm just saying though. What's the difference? He's working with new
it's only 9 games. That's different.
But it was only 9 games for Ruben Amorim.
No.
He signed Cunha and
last season.
No. He's been there.
All right, well, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about more.
What do you mean he's been there longer? He's not been there longer.
So you're only talking about...
Well,
so we're not counting last year.
One second.
So we're not counting last year.
What do you mean?
He's been there 12 months, Amorim. And he's not changed the way they've played.
No, he's not.
And we banged on about how he needs to change the way he's played.
Yeah.
And he hasn't changed the way they've played.
And they've picked up.
Yeah, what, 3 weeks? Last 3 weeks?
Well,
they were rotten to start the season.
My point is, if it's good enough
I don't
for...
think we're getting each other's points by this stage.
It doesn't seem so.
No, I'm not. If we're just talking about this season alone, and it's because Arne Slot's working with new players, then Ruben Amorim is also working with some new players. All right, he hasn't changed the system, and we've all been critical. I'm not talking about Liverpool changing the system, but he hasn't figured out what Liverpool's best team is. You've said, well, there's only 9 games. There's only 9 games for the other guy. So we can't sit here. I don't think we can sit here at this desk and say, no, it's just the players on one manager and the other manager, it's him. No?